University Foundation and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Northeast Radio SD, and we've got some special guests with us today. We have with us Joe Vitek with Divine Providence of South Dakota. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate having you here.
You betcha.
We also have Pastor Mark Tracy with Cornerstone. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Steve. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. So you guys are up to some, sometimes they say up to no good, but you guys are up to good, which is, it's fun to say.
Well, we try, you know.
Yeah, you're up to real good.
That's right, that's right.
So what we're talking about a little bit today, the subject can be, it's a complex subject, if you will, but you know, let's talk a little bit about this this event that's coming, Pure Desire Watertown, that right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you betcha. So in January, Hope is coming, and it's the formal name is Pure Desire Ministries. They're out of Tennessee, and they're coming to Watertown on January the 16th and the 17th. 16th that evening between like 5:30 and 9. It's for youth. I think it's 14 to 18. And then also the very next day, on Saturday, there's two simultaneous events taking place at the same time. Women, the event will be at Cornerstone, and that's like from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30. And then the men's event will be at the Holy Name of Jesus, right across from Prairie Lakes Hospital. And that one will all be at the same time, 8:30 to 4:30. So we're hoping that folks will come out and take advantage of this opportunity.
And what is this kind of program or this event? What is your focus with something like this?
Well, it goes back a little ways, and if I may, so as you all know that I've been doing a lot of work with mostly women, some men, but mostly women that were survivors of child sexual abuse. And off and on, but then it became fairly prominent that a lot of the victims, if you will, of child sexual abuse that I was working with, they would say somewhere along the way that they had a boyfriend or they had a husband that had some issues with pornography, and it came to the point, it got to the point to where it was happening a lot, and so. I started praying about it and questioning, you know, what we need to do something to help with, to address. And so there used to be a psychologist here back in the day. Her name was Lynn Yaxley. And many, many moons ago, she was crying out and she was beating the drum and she was saying to the community, you know, pornography rewires your brain. It's actually very, very dangerous. It prevents folks from having intimate relationships and things like that. So she was crying this out many moons ago, many years ago. And so anyway, so I started hearing that. So in 2024, we actually put in our strategic plan for Divine Providence of South Dakota that we wanted to do something to address this. And now, you know, it used to be that most folks would talk about that and think about it as being a male issue, but that's not so anymore. It's also a female issue. There was a study that was done by a real reputable group called Barna, where they partnered with Pure Desire. And they did a study in 2016. They did a subsequent study in 2024. And I happen to have that big, thick thing in front of me that you can access from Pure Desire's website. But at any rate, the amount of growth and the amount of the issues that it's caused and the damage that it's caused to relationships has really grown since in that short period of time. And quite frankly, you know, we're both associated heavily with churches, you know, Catholic, I'm Catholic, Mark's Methodist. And what we found through the study is that churches weren't doing enough. And there were no resources available to people who were going to their pastors saying, hey, I got this issue, or hey, I caught my husband doing this, or hey, I caught my wife doing this. And there simply was no resources to help them from the church perspective. And so that's kind of where we're coming from. And yet, it's a broader, much broader problem for the general population.
It is. You know, it's one of those topics that everyone knows is a problem, but nobody wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you might be thinking, well, this isn't a conference for me because I don't have a problem with this. Maybe you have hurt somebody because of sexuality, or maybe you've been hurt because of some sexuality. But maybe you're a grandma or a parent who needs to fully understand what it means that your children are being clickbaited into, sexuality. The world wants to teach us a distorted view of sexuality, a perverted view of sexuality, a distorted view of intimacy and all those kinds of things, right? And so this is a conference of awareness, not just for people who've been hurt or offended, but an awareness issue for churches, for leaders, for pastors, for counselors, right? Whether you're a parent or a grandpa or a grandpa, these are topics that our communities need to start having conversations about, because it's getting ever more broken, and yet we know it's a problem, and yet it's this undercurrent, right, where we have this wonderful bedroom community, right, this wonderful community, and there's these things going on behind closed doors. Everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to me too that I've seen maybe over the years too, and I have young daughters. Well, they're older now, 18 and 16, but things are more. We're desensitized maybe, and even
sure.
like your network television, like what used to be free network television always had more censor. It seemed was always more careful with that, but now it's almost, you can see some softcore type sexual activity almost on a lot of those primetime shows. So you can see these kids might get influenced much earlier too. So yeah.
I just seemed like one day I woke up and we went from Leave It to Beaver to naked dating. And it's just crazy. I know if my grandma came out of the grave today and said, "What happened to you guys?"
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I know there's. You do see shows that are kind of geared towards just that. Temptation this or fantasy that, and so on. When you have events like this, these are geared for more of the adults, right?
Well, there's the youth event on Friday night,
Okay.
just for 14 to 18, right? 14 to 18.
Okay.
So that's just for youth, because we want. So what we also know, as a result of the research that was done by Barna, that the bulk of kids, right,
Mm-hmm.
when they've been asked, how have you learned about what's sex, and how have you learned about what that looks like, and you know what they say? They say, I got it from the internet, or I got it from a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's rolling the dice, right? And so where it should be coming from is a trusted adult, a parent, or even a pastor, or someone that they trust. And so, but that's not the case. And so therefore they're getting this distorted view from the get-go. And of course, here's a question for you guys. So have you ever been having a conversation in your house about anything, and the next thing you know, it's showing up in your feed of your Facebook feed?
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? How does that happen?
Listening.
Yeah. So right after I got an Alexa for Christmas one year, right after my first husband died, Tony, right, in 2019. So it was about 2020. I get this Alexa, and I didn't know anything about it. I had someone set it up, and one day Alexa told me, she says, you need to start inviting more people over to your house because you're not having much conversation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's, so I'm not talking to anybody because there's nobody there, right? And so, but yet at the same time, when I am having a conversation and I need a new lawnmower, or I'm looking for a particular book, it starts showing up in my newsfeed.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do we have access to it, but we're being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
We're being targeted.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the youth event, we want to encourage all parents to not just have their kids come, but to sit in the back, and they need to hear what their kids are going through, so that they understand the things that they're facing and the way that they're enticed and baited into these distorted views of sexuality.
Exactly. And I can tell you, my cell phone, right? There'll be times when I'm going to look at the weather, or I'm going to look at this, that, or the other. And of course, everybody needs sponsors, right? And so the next thing you know, you're looking at something that's kind of pornography, or kind of gladly, or revealing, or whatever. And you say, how'd that show up on my phone, right? And so people are being targeted by this stuff too, because let's face it, it's big money.
Mm-hmm.
It's big
It
money.
is. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really amazing that we're hosting the men over at the Catholic Church and the women over at the Methodist Church, because this is an issue that transcends faith and denomination and all of that, right? It doesn't matter if you're Baptist or if you're Lutheran or if you're non-denominational or you're atheist. This is a problem for everybody, and we want the whole community to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the survey that Barna did, they asked the pastors, what's the scoop? And basically, I think it was as high as like 86% of pastors were saying that they had people coming to them that were struggling with some kind of pornography issue, but they had no resources to send them to after that counseling. And, I could be wrong on this. Of course, the bond of confession in the Catholic Church is sealed, but I can envision also that there's folks that are going to confession, and saying, forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. But then, and I know God's real and I know God does amazing stuff, but people-wise, skin-wise, flesh-wise, where do you go after that? And what this ministry does is they actually provide training, and they teach people how to become facilitators, because all of this stuff is recorded. And there's book studies and there's all kinds of studies that last for different weeks. And some are for men, some are for women, some are for youth, some is sexual integrity and what does that look like and what does that mean. And what they do is they have intimate groups, like about 6. You can do in person or in line. And so they recently had a Pure Desire event for youth, specifically a smaller event that was just up in Millbank about a month ago. And it was hugely successful.
Oh.
And so it's in the area. We've got counselors down in Sioux Falls that are certified counselors for the state of South Dakota that are involved in sex addiction. And so we hope to bring those folks up and talk with you on the radio so you have an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to hear what they have to say about this. And so this is a big thing. It's not just a Watertown issue. It's not just a small thing. It's a big thing. It's worldwide. And we know that there's a problem in the church. And guess what? If there's a problem in the church where we're not addressing this, then it's a much bigger problem in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to do what we can do to, help people be free. And it's like anything else. I talk about gizmos and things that we own. We own things. We buy things. And the next thing you know, those things own us
Mm-hmm.
to some degree or another. The same thing is true of this issue with pornography. Before you know it, it owns you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a problem.
Amen.
Yeah. So in the immediate future, then you've got the event this Friday, and that's going to be for the youth, and that's going to be good communication. Like you said, maybe have the parents sit in the back, a good way to kind of break down some of that barrier. That's probably one of the hardest, is to maybe even start the conversation a little, especially with that subject. It's one thing to say, to have the birds and the bees, but to actually talk about pornography would be kind of,
Right.
it could be complex.
So yeah, that was on January the 16th. January the 16th for the youth, and it's from 5:30 in the evening until 9 p.m. at night. There's going to be some snacks that are provided there. That's at Cornerstone. And then the very next Saturday, which is the 17th of January, we're going to have the women's event at Cornerstone, 8:30 in the morning to 4:30. And then the men's simultaneously are meeting over at Holy Name of Jesus across from Berry Lakes Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And they too meet from 8:30 to 4:30. Now, you can go to the website and you can register, and we really want you to do that. Now, that's not because we want to capture your data or track you or anything like that at all, but we need to know how many people we're going to be feeding.
Yeah, we're going to provide a free meal at both the men and women's conference, and only if you register can we guarantee you're going to get some, right? Because if we have a large number of people that showed up that we weren't expecting, we're just not going to be prepared to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be able to provide childcare, but please do not let that stand in the way from you out there deciding that you want to come to this. Whether we give you line up somebody for you or provide you financial assistance, we don't want anyone to not come to this because they couldn't find childcare.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about food. Don't worry about childcare. We aren't providing childcare, but if that's an issue for you, please reach out to us.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Doreen, you got anything?
I'm listening.
Okay. I just want to check, make sure.
I watched 60 Minutes last night, and they had character AI. And that is, you said trust,
Right.
go to someone you trust. The kids were logging on to that, and it would be a celebrity that would show up, but it was not the celebrity talking to them. And then they would lure them. They would ask them, what would you do that would be evil in your house? And then some of the little kids said, probably hurt my dog. And then they started resorting to sexual things, and it's called character AI. And they showed that on 60 Minutes. So the youth, like you said, they say they get it from the internet.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous place for them as well.
Right. Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. I had not heard of that, so thanks. I'll look into it.
Yes.
Yeah, that AI, you can almost, just even an app itself, you can't even tell anymore. It's very hard to, but.
I really believe in there's a long-term dangers of AI, of course, but I think the short-term danger is getting people to stop trusting what's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To really start questioning reality when they see stuff, and that's going to be an issue, and especially as it relates to this topic too.
Well, and that's all the more reason to go to things like these, to have that community, and get to know the people that are there to help each other out. And I really like some of this I was reading too about even the addiction and recovery, the brain science and betrayal trauma. Some of those words really kind of scream psychology and things too. And I know that we've talked about this in the past, but you don't necessarily have to be religious to go to these events.
No.
It's kind of, we want
Bottom
to
line
help
is if you've had sexual dysfunction in your relationship and you want to restore a renewed sense of intimacy, or if you've been wounded and you need healing, right? There's no matter what angle you want to come at it from, even if it's just awareness, you should be there.
Mhm.
And I think back in my former law enforcement days, where the first place we always started for crime prevention, right, was awareness, and just being informed and well informed of what's out there lurking around, right, and one way to stay out of the ditch, right. And so people don't drive into the ditch purposely, with purpose, right, their intent. They end up in the ditch because the roads were slippery or something else. There was some other kind of contributing factor that caused them to get there. And the same thing's true here. I don't think anybody plans on having an issue with this. And it might not be you, but it might be your grandkid. It might be your spouse. It might be your brother. It could be your sister. And so, how do you help someone, or how do you stay, out of the ditch as you become aware of what the problems are, but you also become aware how prevalent it is. And the more technology we get into, just like what you were talking about, Doreen, the more technology we're exposed to, there's always someone out there that's going to be taking advantage of that situation and going to be trying to exploit you, because it really truly is a big money deal.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of money being made off of pornography. And so we want our community. We love our community. I didn't grow up here, but I've been here 20 years. And so I like it. Yeah, exactly. And so we want our folks to be happy, healthy, and holy.
Mhm.
And we want them to be the people that God created them to be. And so we just want to do what we can to make sure that they know that the doors are open for conversation. The doors are open for help. And it's not something that we're not talking about, because it's real.
Mhm.
And this is kind of an impromptu plug, but at the end of the day, she says big money on pornography. Guess what? Divine Providence is spending this conference. These are not fly by night. This is national speakers, thousands of dollars that are being spent by Divine Providence to bring them in here. And so this is not a light event. It's a big deal. And if you want to do some year-end giving, support Divine Providence, because they're doing amazing things for our community.
Mm-hmm. And I was just going to ask too, give us the rundown of what the Divine Providence of South Dakota helps out with.
Well, our mission statement is leading people into a thriving relationship with Jesus Christ, especially those who have been wounded by child sexual abuse. And it's also strengthening churches in Northeast South Dakota. Well, heck, Northeast South Dakota is about 13 counties. And it's also the system in Wapaneli. And so we do a number of things, but the way I look at it, and the way I know my board looks at it, when something happens in our community or our community's exposed to something, I don't want to wind up at the end of the day, at the end of my life, and the Lord says, well, Joe, what'd you do about this issue? Or what'd you do about that issue? Or what'd you do? And I'm like, well, Lord, don't you know that what really wasn't in my mission statement, And so I don't want to be caught like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever that is, and right now this is threatening marriages. This is threatening people who, God created you on purpose. He's got a plan for your life. And this stuff is causing people to end up in the ditch. And we don't want you in the ditch. We want you out of the ditch. And there is hope for that. These are small, intimate groups that you can be a party to. Right now, folks are going to their pastors, right? And then some folks are not going anywhere because they haven't told anybody that they're struggling with this. And they don't have any resources. We want you to have the resources to be the person that God created you to be, you know? And so that's the bottom line. That's it in a nutshell.
And you can find out more if they go to search the Divine Providence of South Dakota on Facebook. And you've got a Facebook page on there, as well as email address, phone number if they want to reach out, if they have questions or have any issues they want to talk to you about. And then Cornerstone Church as well. You guys are always doing a lot of different events out there, so definitely check out your Facebook page. But do you have anything in the immediate future off the top of your head you want to plug? Or
Hey, if you're hurting for food, we're giving out 250 boxes of food today.
Jeepers.
So start lining up the parking lot at 3, and Joy and I and another lady made 250 Christmas tree ornaments to give out today. And yeah, we're just love. I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Wow.
Hey,
Jeepers.
we got a bake sale. Hoping God's got a bake sale on Saturday at my house, 525 South Lake Drive. And it's going to be providing and funding two seminars, or I should say retreats that we're doing this coming year. Hope Healing the Inner Child. Healing the Inner Child, and that's predominantly for men and or women who have been abused as kids. So it's a day and a half event. So it's a nonprofit. You can't. Whatever it is we decide to do, you got to raise the money to make it happen, right?
Yep.
Or somebody's got to donate it or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just the nature of the business.
Particularly grateful for Joe. I am a childhood survivor of sexual abuse, and it started with exposure to pornography. And I'm so grateful for Divine Providence and how, I thought I was pretty healed, but healing can be a lifelong journey of letting go and putting nails in the coffin of your shame. And Joe's helped me do that. And I love
Thanks,
you
brother.
for it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how our brains try to protect us by putting that stuff down, but in reality it really isn't. So it's
Right.
I've been going through a lot of that myself over the years. So I know when you have people like that in your corner, it's very important. Like Doreen over here too has always been there for me. So we appreciate having those people around, and appreciate you guys coming in here to share that. We'll have you in here a few more times too before we wrap up. But check out cornerstonewat.com, and then check out Divine Providence of South Dakota, Joe Vitek, Pastor Mark Tracy. Did we forget anything?
Yeah, Facebook.com/Pure Desire Watertown.
That's right.
If you want to learn more about the event or register, go to Facebook.com/Pure Desire Watertown.
There you go.
Perfect. That's got the registration link and everything on there for you that you'd need. And that'll do it for us here at Northeast Radio SD.
Thanks for having me.